Hey there, folks. This is Sinus bringing you day 2 of our variant today. Unfortunately, we did not get a perfect score this week, so I'm just going to review the best game that we had, and I think a 25 was possible here, but just sometimes it doesn't quite work out. But this was the best game that we played of this variant. Anyway, the variant was Ambiguous and Rainbow, and so we have two red suits here. This is Tomato and Mahogany, and then we have two different blue suits. We have Navy and Sky, and then we also have Rainbow in. So this makes things a little bit complicated because red clues will touch both Tomato and Mahogany cards, as well as Rainbow cards. And then blue clues will touch Rainbow, Sky, and Navy. So that is the origin of the name Ambiguous. Then Rainbow is obviously added in. This did not have a super difficult efficiency, but the problem comes in with you end up getting a lot of duplicated cards often. Let's get into it. So Kevin starts out giving Joel ones. Fine. Joel elects not to order Chop Move because there are two different multi-ones here, and they know if those are worth saving or not. So Sinus sees a multi-one as well. We want to make sure we get that. So I could have given one here, but that would have only touched one card, and that's not very useful. I also could have touched red. Red is problematic, though, because red could look like Mahogany 2. And I want to accomplish two things here. So by giving blue, number one, this can play right away, and it can be known to be either Navy 1 or Rainbow 1. So not only can that play straight away, but it also lets Kevin know that if this is blue colored, oh sorry, it could also be Sky 2. If this is blue colored, then Kevin is free to give a ones clue or a two clue here. Both are fine. The reason being that if one of these two things is clued, the other becomes much easier to get. So if they clue one, then Sinus can clue red, getting Tomato 2 to play. Or if they give the 2 save, then Sinus can give red to get the Tomato 1 to play and fill this in a red 2. So that makes it sound actually as though giving ones first would be better in this case, and then red, so that this red 2 will play for sure, rather than the reverse. I guess it gets played either way. Never mind, because both ones will be on the stacks by the time that red clue. So that's fine. Either way is fine. Let's see. Instead, Kevin decides to play their blue one, which is not the end of the world, but unfortunately, we get this bad draw. So this becomes a lot harder to deal with. Sinus does not see much else to do without bad touching, so I am going to give this 2 save and hope that this red one can be bluffed out by something. And unfortunately, Kevin just gives me a straight up 2 clue, so we're waiting around on this. But we do get this Mahogany 3 as well, so at least we're getting multiple cards played. Happens. And the way this clue worked out is that because we didn't give ones earlier, Joel is going to make a really good read and say, well, the focus of this clue is on this one. And this one, since it wasn't given earlier, is probably trapped. So they play their Tomato 1. Sinus gives 3s, touching this new Tomato 3, and prompts this Tomato 2. So there's a problem here, which is before Sinus gives this clue, if Sinus gives 4, this may appear to be Mahogany 4. And so Kevin may end up discarding this Tomato 3. But from context, Kevin would probably realize that this is actually Tomato 4. The problem is Kevin doesn't really have anything to discard, but in this variant, there is a 5 save to give, but Sinus can't know that. So we're just kind of in this weird place where it's possible that Tomato 3 will discard and this will misplay as Mahogany 4 if I choose to try and finesse it. And if this Tomato 3 discards, then we're in trouble. But anyway, I decided to play overly conservatively and get this Tomato 2-3 to play. And if we lose Tomato 4, that's a lot less bad than losing Tomato. That does discard 2 plays. So 3 now. Mahogany 3. And again, Joel correctly deduces that this is not a good one because of the time it took to clue it. So that was a really good read. This is where, unfortunately, we run into a problem with the game. So here we have 2 4s that have already been touched before. So Sinus is recluing these 4s. So what does that mean? Well, Kevin is not going to know straight away, but Kevin has to entertain these 2 4s cannot possibly be red or Mahogany 4 because of the negative information on them. So the clue must refer to this 4, which is Sky, Navy, or Multi. And so the best thing Kevin can reckon here is that 4 is really far away from any of those stacks. So they have to wait and see what happens. This looks pretty likely that it's going to be Sky based on this clue. So Kevin discards. This 2 plays expectedly, which is fine. Sinus discards. Sky 3 plays. Okay, it appears that everybody knows what's going on. This is a 2. It looks like it could be multi 2, but we have to entertain that this could be Sky 2, and this is finessed. So we get a discard instead. Plays. Okay, confirmed 2. Or sorry, Navy 2. And then we get a red clue. So this red clue is could be quite a few things from Sinus's perspective. So the focus is this card. It could be Tomato 4, Mahogany 4, although that's pretty unlikely. 5 is here. Or multi 2. Given that it has a pretty equal likelihood between Tomato 4 and multi 2, Sinus decides that it is better to play this known 2 first because it leads into other cards in Joel's hand where this Tomato 4 could be a dead end. Sinus is not. And if it's multi 2, it's of equal value or to the Navy. So I play this, and here is our unfortunate perfect score ruining thing. So remember earlier when I clued these 4s and we finessed out the 2-3 for Sky. So the fact that we re-clued it means that the leftmost 4 was the focus of that clue, and so this card misplays as Sky 4. Here we get Mahogany 4, which is fine. Sinus plays and finds out, oh, this is multi 2. Great. 5 stall. or not a 5 stall, 5 save. Sinus decides that this card, it might not be good, but it also might be good. It is not Mahogany 5. It could be Tomato 4 or Multi 3, both of which are playable right now. And so the likelihood is reasonably low that this would be a duped 1 at this point. There is a Multi 1 and a Tomato 1 that are in the garbage. So Sinus is going to do something a little bit risky, but because we have a couple strikes left, decides to play this, which is nice. Unfortunately, this 3 is not super clueable. Actually, it is now. But now that this 3 is on chop, that makes that one a lot more difficult to get. Playing another Navy 3, that's fine. This 3 is duped, but all the 3s are played on the stacks, so crash now. Oh, Sinus did something a little bit clever here that I kind of forgot about. So we got the 3 clue, and there are no clues left. And something kind of interesting happens. So Sky 3 is going to play, sorry, Navy 3. I don't know why I keep calling it that. And Sinus really wants Navy 4 to play sooner, but there are no clues left. Sinus sees that the empathy on this card is such that it's a 1, a 2, or 3, and all the 1s, 2s, and 3s that we need are now gotten. So this is actually a safe discard based on the information that I have about my hand. And so I'm going to do an out of position discard. And what that does is it tells Joel to play this slot, which they do. Which is nice, gets that played a lot quicker, and we get all these 4s. Sinus has enough information to play Navy 5. The one issue there is that I don't know if this is Tomato or Tomato or Rainbow. And Sinus does not want to draw another playable card because we're getting a little low on the stack. Although our pace is fine, I really shouldn't be worried about it. I can pretty safely play this, and we could clue stall if we need to, but I want to get this playing, so I do. And now we're just digging first. Here's one last thing. We need to get Tomato 5 to play. Unfortunately, this red clue that's given to me does not tell me that this is Tomato. It's still Multi or Tomato. And so Joel is forced to get blue. If instead Kevin gives blue to Sinus, it looks like it's a clue on something down here, but the Sky 5 is already called for, Navy is completely done, and Rainbow is as done as it's going to get. So this blue clue is actually just to tell Sinus, hey, this is not Multi, play this as Tomato, and we win win, quote unquote. We would get our max score a couple turns sooner. And we eventually arrive at that same conclusion. It's just not quite as. So anyway, that's our score of 23. I think if we would have gotten the correct focus on the Sky 4 instead of the Multi 4, this would have been a 25. But this was definitely not my first game of this variant. It wasn't even my second or third, I don't think. So this was a tough one for us. Or for me, rather. I play with total pickup groups, so it changes from day to day. Anywho, that was Ambiguous and Rainbow. It was fun. It did stretch our brain a little bit. General advice, Gentleman's discards and baton discards seem pretty strong in this variant to avoid duplication or to make clear when duplication has taken place. That's it for now. I think tomorrow the variant is broken, so I'm going to play like a no variant game and do up a video that is mostly just teaching and doing variant. See you next time.